Ethan Brooks woke up before the sun, the way he had every morning for the past 3 years. The apartment was still dark and quiet, with nothing but the soft hum of the old refrigerator filling the air. He sat at the edge of his worn couch, now his bed, rubbing the sleep from his tired eyes. There was a heaviness in his chest that never quite left, a kind of quiet sorrow he carried like a second skin. But he pushed it aside. He always did. Because at the other end of the apartment, curled up under a lavender blanket, was the reason he kept going. Maya, his 6-year-old daughter, slept with her stuffed bunny tucked beneath her chin, breathing softly, peacefully. Ethan stood there for a moment, watching her the way fathers do when they're trying to hold their world together. She looked so small, so fragile, yet somehow stronger than he ever felt. Losing her mother had been hard on her, but Maya had a way of smiling through storms, something Ethan admired and desperately tried to imitate. He moved quietly through the kitchen, packing her lunch, a peanut butter sandwich cut into little hearts, a packet of applesauce, and the last granola bar from the box. Money was always tight, but pride had no place here. Not when you're raising a child alone. Before leaving, he checked the calendar on the fridge. Another medical appointment later that afternoon. Maya's heart murmur had been stable for years, but doctors never liked to take chances. Ethan didn't either. He switched into his Navy work uniform. Clean, though faded and frayed at the seams. The patch above his chest read Ethan in stitched white thread. He touched it out of habit, as if grounding himself before stepping into a world that rarely saw him. A maintenance janitor. Not the engineer he'd once been. Not the man with plans and a savings account and dreams. Life had stripped all that away the night cancer took his wife, Lauren. But as he gently lifted Maya into his arms to carry her to the car, she stirred, wrapped her tiny arms around his neck, and whispered, half asleep, "Love you, Daddy." And in that fragile little moment, Ethan remembered. He may have lost everything once, but he still had the one thing worth fighting for. The pediatric clinic at St. Mary's was already buzzing when Ethan carried Maya through the sliding doors that afternoon. Flu season always made the place feel tense and crowded, but today there was something different in the air. Something sharp, urgent, unsettling. Ethan felt it the moment they stepped inside. He checked Maya in, then sat with her in a corner of the waiting room where the chairs were old but clean, softened by years of tired parents and restless kids. Maya swung her legs gently, humming under her breath, completely unaware of the worry pulling at her father's face. Ethan tried to stay steady, but hospitals always stirred memories he wished he could forget. The fading beeps of Lauren's monitors, the sterile smell that never left his mind, the helplessness that wrapped around him like cold fog. Even now, years later, stepping into a hospital made his chest feel tight. "Daddy," Maya said softly, leaning against his arm. "It's just a checkup. I'm okay." Her voice was small but calming, grounding him in that simple, honest way only kids can. He kissed the top of her head. "I know, sweetheart. Just want to make sure you stay okay." Before she could answer, the overhead speakers cracked with an announcement. Code red, pediatric emergency, blood needed immediately. Nurses rushed past, carts rattling, doors slamming open. Ethan instinctively held Maya closer. A group of paramedics hurried by with a stretcher carrying a little girl, pale and barely conscious. For a brief moment, Ethan's eyes met hers, frightened, glassy, pleading. Something inside him twisted. He didn't know who she was. He didn't know what had happened, but he felt it deep in his chest. This wasn't just another emergency. Something bigger was unfolding, and somehow he sensed they were already part of it. The hallway outside the pediatric wing was usually calm, but today it felt charged, like the air right before a storm. Ethan held Maya's hand as they walked toward the exam rooms, trying to shake off the tension from the code red announcement. He told himself it had nothing to do with them, just another crisis in a busy hospital. But fate didn't give him time to finish that thought. A sharp crash echoed down the corridor, followed by panicked shouting. Ethan turned just in time to see a small figure, a little girl in a thin hospital gown, stumble out of a side room. Her steps were unsteady, her face ghost pale, her breath shallow and ragged. Before anyone could reach her, her legs buckled. She hit the floor hard. A wave of convulsions ripped through her tiny body. Maya gasped and clutched her father's arm. Ethan felt his stomach drop, but instinct, deep, steady, protective, took over. "Stay against the wall, baby," he whispered, guiding Maya to safety. Then he ran. Dropping to his knees beside the girl, he turned her gently onto her side, keeping her airway clear just like he'd learned years ago. Her body jerked uncontrollably against the cold tile, terrifyingly fragile. Nurses rushed toward them, breathless and frantic, but Ethan didn't move. His voice stayed calm, low, grounding. "It's okay, sweetheart. You're not alone. I've got you." The seizure finally slowed, her tiny fingers curling around his wrist with desperate strength. Her eyes fluttered open, blue, glassy, terrified. "Please," she whispered, barely audible. "Don't let me die." The words hit Ethan like a punch to the chest. He didn't know her name. He didn't know her story. But in that raw, heart-stopping moment, he knew one thing with absolute certainty. He would not let this child face fear alone. By the time the nurses lifted the little girl onto a rolling gurney, Ethan's heartbeat was still thundering in his ears. Maya clung to his side, wide-eyed and trembling, trying to make sense of the chaos swirling around them. The hallway that had once felt merely tense now pulsed with raw panic. A doctor sprinted up, shouting orders while checking the girl's vitals. "Severe internal bleeding. She's crashing. Get her to trauma now." Ethan stepped back, pulling Maya close as the medical team rushed the child away. He felt shaken, winded, the girl's last words still echoing inside him like a bruise he couldn't shake. But the crisis didn't end there. Moments later, the hospital intercom crackled overhead again, this time with a sharper, more desperate tone. "Code red. O-negative blood urgently needed for a pediatric emergency. All compatible donors report immediately." Ethan froze. O-negative. The rarest blood type, the one he carried. He looked down at Maya. Her face was small, worried, searching his eyes for answers. "Daddy, is that your blood? The special kind?" His throat tightened. "Yeah, sweetheart, it is." Doctors hurried through the hallway, murmuring updates he wasn't meant to hear. No units left in the city. None available fast enough. Kid won't last an hour without a match. Whoever's O-negative may be the only shot. The weight of those words settled heavily on Ethan's shoulders. He didn't know the little girl. He didn't know her family. But he knew that look in her eyes. The same terrified look he'd seen on Lauren's face years ago. Maya tugged gently at his sleeve. Her voice was soft, sincere, heartbreakingly pure. "Daddy, can we help her?" And just like that, the decision was no longer complicated. The donation center was crowded, tense, and buzzing with frantic energy as Ethan walked in with Maya's small hand wrapped tightly in his. Nurses rushed from station to station, testing every volunteer they could find. Most were turned away within seconds. Wrong type, not eligible, not enough time. When Ethan stepped up to the intake nurse and quietly said, "I'm O-negative," her eyes widened with stunned relief, the kind that comes only when hope returns in the last possible moment. "Sir, are you sure you're willing to do an extended donation? The child needs significantly more than a standard unit." Ethan nodded without hesitation. "Tell me what to do." Maya sat beside him as they performed the screening, her little legs swinging nervously. He squeezed her hand, trying to show a confidence he didn't fully feel. The truth was, Ethan hadn't donated this much blood in years. He knew the risks, dizziness, weakness, possibly fainting. But none of that mattered, not when a little girl's life was slipping away. When the needle finally slid into his arm and the blood began to flow, a wave of lightheadedness washed over him. Still, he forced a steady smile from Maya. "I'm all right, honey. Just tired." She held her stuffed bunny close, watching him with wide, earnest eyes. "Are you helping her now, Daddy?" "Yeah," he whispered, breath growing shallow. "Right now." Outside the room, nurses hurried with fresh charts and urgent updates. A doctor passed by, saying quietly, "If this donation works, she has a chance." Ethan closed his eyes, letting the steady rhythm of the machine pull from him what the girl needed to live. Each drop felt heavy, meaningful, almost sacred. He didn't know her name yet. He didn't know her story. But he gave anyway, because that's what fathers do. Charlotte Hale burst through the hospital doors like a storm breaking loose, her usually composed presence replaced by frantic, uneven breaths. Her assistant had called her out of an investor meeting with only 5 words. Ava's in critical condition. Now she moved down the hallway in sharp, panicked strides, her heels clicking against the linoleum in a rhythm that betrayed her fear. A nurse rushed beside her, trying to explain the situation: internal bleeding, rapid decline, blood shortage. But Charlotte barely heard a word. Her mind was a whirl of terror and disbelief. Ava, her bright, stubborn, beautiful little girl, fighting for her life. When they reached the donation wing, the nurse stopped her gently. "Ma'am, someone is donating. A perfect match. It's the only reason your daughter still has a chance." Charlotte pressed a trembling hand to the glass window, her pulse unsteady, and then her world tilted. Inside the room, pale, exhausted, hooked up to tubes, was him, the janitor she had humiliated that very morning, Ethan Brooks. His head leaned back against the pillow, eyes half closed from dizziness, while Maya sat beside him, clutching a stuffed bunny to her chest. The little girl looked worried but brave in a way that broke Charlotte's heart. The blood flowing from his arm into the collection bag was the lifeline keeping Ava alive. Charlotte's throat tightened. Shame rose like a tidal wave. Hot, relentless, unforgiving. She had torn down a man who had every reason to turn his back on her. Yet here he was, giving away the one thing he could never replace: life. Her breath hitched as her reflection stared back at her in the glass. A powerful CEO, undone by a truth she could no longer ignore. She had judged a man without knowing him. She had wounded someone who owed her nothing. And yet he was saving the person she loved most in the world. For the first time in years, Charlotte Hale felt genuinely, painfully human. By the time Ethan was cleared to leave the donation room, his legs felt unsteady, like the floor beneath him kept drifting. Maya held his hand tightly, guiding him toward the lobby with a seriousness far beyond her years. She had always been a gentle child, but in moments like this, she carried a quiet strength that reminded him so much of Lauren it almost hurt. They found an empty bench near the exit. Ethan sank onto it, closing his eyes as Maya curled beside him. The fatigue hit him in slow, heavy waves, leaving him pale and breathless. He didn't complain. He rarely did. A soft, hesitant voice broke through the silence. "Mr. Brooks?" Ethan opened his eyes to see Charlotte Hale standing a few steps away. Nothing like the commanding CEO from that morning. Her shoulders were slumped, her eyes red-rimmed, her perfectly styled hair now messy from hours of worry. She looked human, fragile even. "May I sit?" she asked, voice trembling. Ethan nodded once. Charlotte lowered herself onto the bench as if the weight of the day might break her. For a moment she couldn't speak. Then the words came out cracked and sincere. "I was awful to you this morning," she whispered. "Cruel, dismissive, completely unfair. And you," her voice faltered as she looked at his bandaged arm, "you saved my daughter's life anyway." Ethan shifted, uncomfortable with praise. "Your little girl needed help. That's all that mattered." Charlotte shook her head, tears slipping free. "No, people don't help someone they have every reason to hate. But you did." Maya rested her head on Ethan's shoulder, watching Charlotte with curious, soft eyes. "I don't expect forgiveness," Charlotte continued quietly. "I just needed to say I'm sorry. Truly." Ethan studied her for a long moment, his face calm but unreadable. "I'm not doing this for apologies," he said gently. "I'm doing it because a child was scared and alone." And for the first time, Charlotte realized the truth. He wasn't just a man she had misjudged. He was the kind of father she desperately wanted to be. Charlotte returned to Hale Dynamics the next morning, looking nothing like the polished executive her board was used to. Her eyes were tired, outlined with the kind of exhaustion that doesn't come from lack of sleep but from raw fear and emotional whiplash. She barely had time to set her bag down before her assistant whispered nervously, "They're waiting for you, and they're not happy." Of course they weren't. She had abandoned a high-stakes investor presentation without warning. In their world, missing numbers was forgivable. Missing meetings was not. The moment she stepped into the boardroom, the temperature shifted. 8 pairs of stern, disgruntled eyes locked on her. Harold Quinn, the chairman, leaned forward, voice clipped and cold. "Charlotte, yesterday's disappearance was unacceptable. Investors lost confidence. Our reputation took a hit. We need an explanation." Charlotte swallowed hard. The old version of herself would have delivered a polished excuse, something sterile and corporate. But the truth, that messy, vulnerable truth, rose to the surface. "My daughter almost died yesterday," she began quietly. "She went into emergency surgery. She required a rare blood donor just to stay alive." The room fell silent, The kind of silence that tests the air. And I left, she continued steadier now. Because no meeting, no investor, no number on a spreadsheet is more important than my child. Harold shifted, uncomfortable. We sympathize, Charlotte, but leadership requires... No. Her voice cut through the room, not loud but resolute. Leadership requires humanity, and I've forgotten that. A man I mistreated saved my daughter's life last night. A janitor, a father, a better human being than I was in that lobby yesterday. The board exchanged uneasy glances. Charlotte straightened, her tone firm, unwavering. This company is going to change. I am going to change. And if that's a problem, you can replace me. For the first time in her career, she wasn't performing. She was becoming. The next afternoon, Charlotte found herself back at St. Mary's, this time not in a panic, but with a quiet, determined purpose. Ava had made it through the night and was finally stabilizing. The fear hadn't vanished, but it had softened into something more reflective, something that made Charlotte see the world a little differently. When she stepped into Ava's room, the little girl was propped against her pillows, coloring with shaky hands. Sitting beside her was Maya, bright-eyed, compassionate, chatting about her favorite cartoons as if they'd known each other forever. And near the window stood Ethan, still looking a bit pale but steady, protective, impossibly kind. Charlotte hesitated in the doorway before speaking. Mr. Brooks, Ethan, can we talk? He nodded cautiously and stepped into the hallway with her. For a moment, Charlotte struggled to find the right words. Everything she usually relied on, polish, confidence, control, felt too small for what she needed to say. You changed my daughter's life, she said finally, and you changed mine. Ethan shifted awkwardly. Compliments always seemed to make him uncomfortable. I just did what anyone would have done. No, Charlotte replied softly. Not anyone. You showed humanity I haven't shown enough of. She took a breath. I want to fix that, not with a simple apology, but with something real. Hale Dynamics is launching a program to support single parents. Health coverage, emergency leave, childcare assistance, things the company should have offered long ago. Ethan listened, wary but curious. I want you to help build it, Charlotte continued, as a paid consultant, part-time, flexible hours. You know the struggle. You know what families really need. I need your voice in the room. For a long moment, Ethan said nothing. Maya peeked from the doorway, her small smile almost proud, as if she already knew the answer before he spoke. This wasn't charity. This was respect. And maybe, just maybe, the start of something better for both of them. 6 weeks later, the lobby of Hale Dynamics looked nothing like the place where Ethan had once been humiliated. Rows of folding chairs filled the normally polished, impersonal space. Employees from every department, engineers, receptionists, janitors, single parents balancing diaper bags and coffee cups, gathered for the announcement of the company's new initiative, the Brooks Family Support Program. Ethan hadn't wanted his name on it. He preferred quiet corners and easy exits. But Charlotte insisted, because accountability matters, and stories matter even more. Eventually he agreed, not for recognition, but for the people whose lives might change. When Charlotte introduced him, Ethan stepped up to the podium wearing his simple navy shirt, the same uniform he cleaned floors in. But somehow today, it looked different on him. He cleared his throat, steadying himself as hundreds of eyes settled on him. I'm not a public speaker, he began, offering a shy smile that drew a soft laugh from the crowd. I'm better at fixing things with my hands, not with microphones. The room warmed to him instantly. But being a single parent, he continued, voice gentler now, that's not something you can fix with tools. It's long nights, early mornings, bills you're scared to open, and a kid who needs you to be strong even when you're barely holding it together. Maya sat in the front row next to Ava, their feet swinging in sync. This program won't solve every problem, Ethan said, but it can make life a little more possible, a little more human, and that matters. Applause rose, not polite but heartfelt, emotional, grateful. Even Charlotte wiped at her eyes. For the first time in years, Ethan felt something unfamiliar but deeply welcome. He mattered. His story mattered. And he was helping build a world kinder than the one he'd survived. Winter arrived early that year, brushing St. Mary's Hospital with a thin layer of powdered snow. Inside the pediatric clinic, Ethan sat with Maya in the waiting room for her routine follow-up. She was nervous, though she tried to hide it behind her cheerful chatter and swinging legs. Across the room, Charlotte sat with Ava, who looked healthier than she had in months. Cheeks rosy, eyes bright, full of the kind of energy only children can bounce back with. Every now and then, the girls glanced at each other, giggling the way best friends do before a sleepover. When both families stepped out of their exam rooms, the news was better than anyone had dared hope. Ava was fully recovered. Maya's heart murmur remained stable. The relief hit Ethan so deeply he had to close his eyes for a moment, letting the gratitude wash through him. Charlotte exhaled shakily beside him, pressing a hand over her heart. They exchanged a quiet smile, one of respect, of humility, of something new and fragile growing between them. "Daddy, can we go outside?" Maya asked, tugging his sleeve. "Ava wants to too," Ava added, already pulling on her coat. Moments later, the four of them stepped through the hospital doors into the crisp afternoon light. Snow drifted lazily from the sky in soft, delicate flakes, coating the ground in a clean white shimmer. The girls ran ahead, leaving tiny footprints behind them. They twirled with outstretched arms, laughing with pure, unfiltered joy, the kind that heals grown-up hearts without even trying. Ethan watched them, hands in his pockets, breath forming little clouds in the air. Beside him, Charlotte joined the girls' laughter with a warm, gentle chuckle. "You know," she said softly, "I used to think strength meant control, owning every room, winning every fight." She paused, eyes following Ava and Maya. "Turns out real strength looks more like this. Showing up, letting yourself change, choosing kindness even when it's not easy." Ethan nodded. "I guess we both learned something this year." Charlotte glanced at him, grateful, reflective, maybe even hopeful. "Ethan, thank you for saving her, for pushing me to become someone she can be proud of." He looked at her for a long moment before answering, voice low and honest. "We all get second chances. Sometimes they just don't look like we expect." They stood in silence, letting the moment speak for itself. Two families that started on opposite sides of a power divide now stood together, watching their daughters chase falling snowflakes. And in that gentle winter light, it was impossible not to wonder, what new beginning might be taking shape? If you were in Ethan's place, could you forgive someone who hurt you if it meant saving their child's life? And do you believe people like Charlotte can truly change? Comment your thoughts below. Your perspective matters. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us create more meaningful, emotional stories just like this one. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss the next chapter.